Good afternoon, and thanks for joining us. The family of an 86-year-old Alzheimer's patient who died after wandering away from a Saskatoon care home is calling for a full investigation and apology. William Crow walked for 8 blocks from the Preston Special Care Home before falling. He died 9 days later of complications from a broken hip. Preston Special Care Home is a government-run facility which Crow moved into only 36 hours before his injury. According to the family, Crow had a history of wandering, which the facility was made aware of.
Us, the family members, we helped as much as we could, but it was just becoming too much, and so we put him in the care of the Saskatchewan Health Authority, thinking that that was the right move, and it blew our lives up.
CTV has reached out to the SHA for comment. The Saskatchewan Health Authority has announced it is switching back to its old employee scheduling system after problems with the new AIMS program.
And while significant testing was done before launching the employee scheduling part of the system, it has become clear that it's just not working like it should.
The SHA says it's rolling back to its previous employee scheduling program after persistent challenges with the AIMS platform. The change affects about 7,000 employees in the former Kelsey Trail and Cypress Hill regions, along with out-of-scope employees, but payroll, finance, and human resources aren't affected. The change is expected by the end of November. Okay, Jeff, another day, another weather update, but I'm guessing we're kind of settling into that more regular seasonal temperatures.
We are, and it looks as though Halloween is going to be a bit on the cool side. Cooler than we have had in the last little while, but close to seasonal is what reality is. But we are keeping our eye on this system that's sliding through. Just as advertised, we're expecting rain and snow at this system. But right now, Halloween is looking pretty much dry for most of the province.
Gunshot residue was found on Andrew Rosenfeld's face and hands. That's what a forensic expert told court on day 8 of his second-degree murder trial. The RCMP specialist testified the residue doesn't necessarily mean Rosenfeld fired the gun. She said someone standing within about 20 meters of a gun being fired could test positive because of secondary transfer. The Crown must prove beyond a reasonable doubt that Rosenfeld shot and killed his girlfriend, 20-year-old Nakira Brown. Throughout the trial, the defense has suggested her death was a suicide. Brown was found dead in November 2022 inside the apartment they shared in Saskatoon. 2 people are facing 40 charges following a targeted investigation by RCMP. A warrant executed at a couple of homes and a vehicle last weekend in North Battleford saw cocaine, 3 guns, 2 fake guns, a crossbow, body armor, bear spray, and drug trafficking supplies seized. During the investigation, RCMP say a man pointed a gun at an officer but did not fire it. 38-year-old Landon Galley and 24-year-old Talon Meachance are facing weapons and drug trafficking charges. Galley is also charged with assault on a police officer. 5 other people arrested were later released without charges. 2 people on the Saskatchewan RCMP most wanted person list were arrested in the past week. This is not a complete list of all offenders wanted by RCMP. The list is made by a data-driven scoring system looking at the number and severity of the crimes. Last week, Spiritwood RCMP arrested Ian Beeds October 20th, and he will appear in court November 25th. Shellbrook RCMP arrested Joel McKenzie October 21st. He appeared in Prince Albert Provincial Court today. Police hope by releasing this list, tips and information from the public will support RCMP investigations and lead to arrests. Several vehicles at an automotive business were destroyed in a fire last night. This was the scene just before 9 o'clock in the 1600 block of Idlewild Drive North. Firefighters arrived to find 4 vehicles engulfed in flames. Today you can see the aftermath and the damage. The fire department says crews found a used oil container that was melted and had spilled onto the property. No one was injured in the fire. Police found a 45-year-old suspect nearby. He is facing a charge of arson. The Broadway Bridge is almost ready to reopen. After more than 6 months of construction and traffic detours for motorists, the city says the bridge will be open by the end of the week. Administration wouldn't commit to a specific day, but said all construction and improvements are complete. The contractor just needs to wrap up some minor fixes before barricades can be lifted and the bridge can be reopened. Lieutenant Governor Bernadette McIntyre received the first poppy in Saskatchewan today. The first poppy was presented by Royal Canadian Legion Saskatchewan President Roberta Taylor. Following the ceremony, the Lieutenant Governor handed out poppies to members of the crowd. 100% of the funds raised from poppy sales go directly to the Poppy Fund, which supports veterans and their families.
Some of the assistance would include making sure that the basic needs of our veterans are met on a continual basis. As we know, all veterans are covered through Veteran Affairs. However, there are certain things that the Veterans Affairs does not cover. And sometimes, too, the needs are more immediate.
Poppies will be available to the public starting October 31st at Legion branches and other various locations around the province. A mother's love is inspiring a community in the North Saskatoon neighborhood, leading a playground project so every child can play. Brittany Hebert is fundraising at St. Anne's School to build an accessible playground. She wants children like her daughter, who has mobility challenges after an accident, to enjoy recess on a play structure built for everyone. Along with the school's parent council, they hope to raise nearly $300,000. The playground design would have ramps and a wheelchair accessible base, unlike the sand base at the existing playground.
Before her accident, she was fully able-bodied, and then she sustained a brain injury, and resulting in the 7-month stay at the hospital and the use of a wheelchair. So that's where our passion came from. It came out of tragedy, and so accessibility was never on our mind up until it suddenly hits you.
Through donations and fundraisers, the community is only halfway to its goal. They hope to break ground on the project by spring. A Saskatoon couple is putting their love for Halloween on display and opening their doors to the community. Aaron Dabrowski and Kristen McDonald run this haunted house at their home in Evergreen. It started with a jumping spider in 2018, but has grown to dozens of animatronics and hundreds of decorations. Last year, they welcomed about 2,500 people and are expecting even more this year.
We did it the first year and people came and they loved it so much. It was something free to come do, and I don't know, just something fun. We like to keep the spirit of Halloween going.
We love seeing all the reactions of everybody come through, and seeing the smiles and the screams is what makes it worth it for us.
If you're in Saskatoon, the haunted house is at 510 Glacial Shores Bay and admission is free of charge. When we come back, a Paralympic year means pulling out all the tricks to get athletes ready. We find out how Brittany Hudak and Team Canada are preparing for a big season. Three-time Paralympian with 3 medals, Brittany Hudak joins us today by Zoom as another ski season upon us. And Brittany, this is probably right about the time of year where you're ramping up the training and really getting it going. So what does training look like this week?
Yeah, well, first, thanks for having me. Training this week, I don't know if people have heard of it, but in Canmore, they actually roll out a loop of snow, and we get to start skiing on snow usually 3rd week of October. So they rolled that out last week, and now we're back on snow, which is so great. Skiing is such a technical sport. So getting to be on snow, we're starting to ramp up doing a lot more intervals. So higher intensity training to kind of get the body prepped for race season that's fast approaching.
Your home base right now for training is up in Canmore. And I'm wondering, you guys didn't have any natural snow, or did you just have to make enough for a loop there?
Yeah, so actually what they do is make enough snow throughout the winter and store it under a big sawdust pile throughout the summer, and then they lay it out. So right now we don't have enough natural snow. When it snows, we've got a little bit on the mountains, but nothing in the town and not much up at the Nordic Center. So this is kind of an initiative where they're really trying to store snow specifically for the athletes to get training early.
So you've competed in things like biathlon, the cross country, and then there's this open relay. So which event or distance is your favorite, and which one just gives you fits?
That's a really good question. So I compete in both Nordic skiing and biathlon, and I would say biathlon events are probably my favorite. Just that combination of combining skiing as hard as you can and coming in and trying to hit targets when your heart is racing. I find that really exciting. And I think it's exciting for spectators too, because so much can change throughout the race. Like I could be shooting clean in the beginning, but I can come in on my last bout of shooting and miss a couple targets, and that could really impact who lands on the podium or not. So I think I definitely prefer the longer distance biathlon races. I'm not much of a sprinter, so anything 10K or more is a better distance for me. And biathlon I just find so exciting and a lot of fun.
You mentioned it. This is a Paralympic year. So how does your season, your preparation, and how does the pressure change?
Yeah, I think October for skiers, like I said, in Canmore, we're fortunate enough to ski on snow. And then in November, we've already got early season races. So I'll be able to do a couple of races in November. We have our para COC races, we call them, where that is where some athletes can earn a spot to race the World Cup. So our first World Cup is actually going to be here at home in Canmore, which I'm really excited about. It's always great to compete on home trails, and to not have to travel to Europe at the beginning of the season is always just really nice, not to have to deal with jet lag. So basically we're getting ready for our first World Cup of the season in December. And then after that, we're going to have a 3-week long stint in Europe where we'll compete at a couple of World Cups in both cross country and biathlon. And then typically our team does a different kind of prep leading into the games where we're working on a peaking plan. So we'll actually come back to Canmore and be at home and do our own kind of higher altitude training block as part of our peaking plan leading into the games. And then specifically for the games, we always head over a bit early, like a week or so, and do what we call our staging camp. So it gives us time to adjust to the time zone, but also that environment of like the calm before the storm, because the games are so busy. There's lots of media and you really do feel that kind of high pressure environment. And our team has found it really beneficial to kind of head over and be in a different location where we can adjust to the time zone and really just like calm the nervous system before we're fully immersed at the games.
I like that. It's kind of making it feel like it is home, even if it isn't home. Well, Brittany Hudak, best of luck this ski season. And of course, we'll be watching for you in Milano Cortina, and it's in sometime in March of 2026. That's right?
Yeah, I think the first race day is March 6th. Opening ceremonies, or maybe opening ceremonies are March 6th. I should probably know these dates, but yes, the 6th to the 15th, roughly. You can watch.
Yeah, I was going to say, you got a few races before then, but Brittany Hudak, thanks so much for joining us today by Zoom.
Thanks for having me.
Jeff, we'll have your weather coming up right after the break, and later, a new drug for patients of COPD. So, Jeff, 48 hours away from the big night. Are you getting the eggs all aligned in the silly string and the toilet paper ready to toss?
I'm not a prankster like that, but I don't know what exactly I'm going to do. What I do need to do is go out and get some snackage for some treats for the trick-or-treaters, because right now I got Zippo Whippo on hand, so I've got to work on that.
How about the weather? What's coming up for us?
It's going to be cold, but Saturday's going to be nice. Oh, I tell you, the irony there. Yes, we're keeping our eye on this low-pressure center. This is what we talked about yesterday. The one system moved through, and it did its damage, or at least made a mess in some places. But the secondary system we talked about showed up, and we do have some snow and some rain, and it's angling through the province. So it will continue to be a bit of a messy situation for Saskatchewan as we make our way into the evening hours. So let's take a look at some the future cast here. So there's the bullseye. The low-pressure center continues to slice into Manitoba. On the backhand side, we're still dealing with snow now. No snowfall warnings or anything like that, but still some precipitation. And those isobar lines staying fairly close together, so a bit of a windy situation until we get into the latter part of tomorrow afternoon and early evening. So here we go. Overnight tonight, well, many locations will be dealing with some maybe rain, snow mix, but -2 degrees in Spiritwood, -1 in the Battlefords. The same temperature in Candle Lake and Birch Hills. Rostern dealing with some showers tonight, -1 degree, 0 in Nipawin, and -1 in Melfort. On to our Thursday numbers and sky conditions. Well, We've got ourselves cloudy skies in Spiritwood and that Battleford. Spiritwood with a high of just 2 degrees, 3 for the Battlefords, 3 in Canada Lake with some flurries, a bit more intense snow, shall we say, in the Birch Hills region, 3 degrees. Rostern dealing with flurries and 3, a bit more in the way of heavier snow, but this is not a big dump of snow, but it's a little heavier than what we can expect in Canada Lake and Rostern. Nipawin and Melfort expecting a bit more in the way of accumulation. 3 degrees for Nipawin's daytime high, just 2 for Melfort. Now on to the details for Prince Albert and region. So tonight, rain changing to flurries in the overnight period. The temperature's dropping down to -1 degree. The wind speed and direction, northwesterly winds at 20, so a bit of a cool wind, and that cool wind gets cooler as it picks up. I guess the wind doesn't really change in temperature, it's the wind, but it will feel cooler because wind gusts are expected of up to 50 kilometers an hour. Cloudy conditions, 3 degrees, and here's the 7-day outlook for the Gateway City. So as I mentioned, 3 degrees on Thursday, the same on Friday with cloudy conditions for Halloween. But then look at that, Saturday not too bad, 8 degrees, that's above seasonal, and certainly so are Sunday and Monday. 9 degrees on Sunday, Monday 7 degrees, and lots of sunshine. Then we get a bit more cloud on Tuesday, 6 degrees, and 5 on Wednesday, and 5 is just a little bit higher than seasonal. So there you go. So above seasonal conditions once we hit Saturday.
And definitely not baseball weather, I guess, by any stretch of the imagination. But let's take a look down some classic sports when the weather was a little better.
Joe Carter and Roberto Alomar. Alomar has already become a fan favorite here at spring training.
That's local CTV Saskatoon reporter Craig Wilson reporting about Blue Jays training camp in 1991. That's right. Back then, local Saskatchewan reporters would go to Florida to cover the Blue Jays. And that means we got some rare comments on tape from Joe Carter talking about playing in right field for the Blue Jays.
CTV has expressed concern that he wanted me in right field and maybe move Mookie to left, and you know I feel great with that. I'm getting a chance to play here in spring training, get acclimated back to playing right field again.
And how about first baseman John Allrood during this exhibition game, who wouldn't let anything get in his way of catching a foul ball? Don't worry, he was fine, and he talked to us at the time too.
And usually if I do get into a slump, it's because I'm too tentative at the plate or I'm taking too many pitches. And so, you know, the big thing for me is to try to get, you know, if anything, a little more aggressive at the plate.
And so did manager Cito Gaston.
We asked a lot of him last year to be our DH, and he came through with that situation. I think John will do the same with having the first base job.
Yes, this was back in the days of $1.50 hot dogs and no button-up jerseys. No, they were pretty much like T-shirts. You just pulled them over. That's right. Scenes of Toronto Blue Jays training camp in 1991. And if you want to check out more classic sports moments from the days of Wilco and wood finish televisions, you can check them out on our website.
Do you have a community event you would like to promote? Or maybe you'd like to draw attention to your organization. Let your local CTV station help you spread the word. Contact us at 306-922-6020 or email panews@ctv.ca. You can appear on CTV Prince Albert's News at 5 and get your message to our viewers.
Aside from childbirth, chronic obstructive pulmonary disease, or COPD, is the most common reason Canadians end up in hospital. Pauline Chan has more on a new drug to help patients.
In Canada, some 840,000 people have been diagnosed with COPD.
The Lung Health Foundation estimates that there are upwards of 2 million people, which would be the diagnosed and the undiagnosed, the smokers who are obfuscating their symptoms, or people who haven't had access to spirometry testing.
And up till now, patients could take one drug, then two, then triple therapies to help control their increasing breathlessness, episodes known as exacerbations.
Till now, there were no things to go to. after that triple therapy, you're kind of like at the end of the line.
And for some time now, our colleagues have used, for example, biologics to treat the inflammation of arthritis.
Dupixent is a newly approved biologic medication to treat patients with the most advanced forms of COPD. COPD causes 4.4% of all deaths in Canada, and it's not just the disease itself that kills.
Often it's the complications. It's the associated heart disease or stroke.
COPD Canada says having a new level of treatment is significant, and it urges provincial officials to arrange coverage quickly because the bulk of patients are of retirement age or older.
It's a financial imperative because they're retired, they're sick, they're getting sicker, and these things give them some hope.
Dr. Ken Chapman believes biologics will play a key role in treating COPD and reducing deaths in the future, but only if patients can get diagnosed.
Many patients are in and out of the emergency room with nobody in charge, and we've all heard about the lack of family doctors who might be tracking this, but they're overburdened. So I'm concerned that this very effective therapy reaches people who need it.
Pauline Chan, CTV News.
Brought to you by Saskatchewan Union of Nurses. Thank you to Saskatchewan's 11,000 registered nurses.
All right, Jeff, we'll probably get a few more opportunities to talk about the Blue Jays, so let's go into the Halloween theme for this one. The residents of a Belgian town are getting into the Halloween spirit. This is Casterly, Belgium, a town known for its giant pumpkins. Here, people take part in the annual event where they paddle around in a pond in hollowed-out pumpkins. It's organized by the local kayak club and some pumpkin growers, celebrating both water sports and gourds. What do you think, Jeff? Are you that kind of a rower?
You know what? If someone was going to grow the pumpkin, and sure, give me a paddle, I'd do it. But it's like, obviously, it's a tradition around the world. We certainly have these in Canada and other parts of the States where these pumpkin regattas happen every year, this time of year, rather, I should say. So that's kind of nutty.
That's a rather large hole if you're thinking you're going in water. I would keep it nice and tight like a kayak. But did you know that pumpkins and gourds are all in the curcubit family? But pumpkins are more edible and the gourd is more bitter. How about that?
You know what? Bitter Gourd is the name of my new folk album.
There you go. I'll be watching for it.
Yeah, exactly.
CTV National News is next.